Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mic Test Podcast. I'm your host, Bradley McCormack, and today we have the CMO of Legacy Business Mastery and Zend on us with today. Alex Woolley, thank you for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me on the room that is right beside where we normally work.
Yes, it is it's a podcast luxury.
It is a warehouse that is freezing cold, and I love it.
It adds character.
It does.
So I had a couple questions going from, working at Metro, or I can't even...
Oh my gosh.
We both...
Marathon Petroleum, yes. Not Petroleum.
Yeah, not Petroleum, but Marathon Petroleum. Going from working there as an employee that does stuff for other people, how is the transfer going from that to a managerial position, and how's that going?
So, yeah, that's a really good question, because I went from being I was a lab assistant at Marathon Petroleum, and I worked in a bunch of different labs there. One of them was jet fuel, one of them was metal analytics and stuff like that. But I went from every day I would come in and I'd wake up and I'd just be like, I wonder what I'm doing today. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in and I would report to somebody. Normally it'd be Scott Bates. Hi, Scott, if you're listening. And I would be like, hey, what's our task for today? And they would lay stuff out, or they'd be like, oh, you just do whatever. Just sit there. We don't really have much to do today. Or whatever it was. And I went from living a day-to-day life of coming in and we're fine. I went from living a day-to-day life of coming in and just doing tasks every day and not having to worry about what's happening the next day because other people were deciding that for me, to coming in and realizing I came into the first interview here and Mike basically sat me down and he sat all of us down. He was like, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be doing this as the marketing team. And Alex, you're going to be the marketing lead. And had not told me that at all before actually showing up. And then I show up and I get told I'm the marketing lead. And suddenly it goes from a day-to-day. I have someone telling me what to do every day, which is kind of what I thought this job was going to be first coming on. And going into suddenly we're starting up a new business. Mike wants to start up a new business. I have to think of how we want to, what steps do we need to be taking? What processes do we... literally, whenever you and I started here, we had nothing. We were given books by Mike to be here's how to do this, here's how to do this. Here's some training online that I bought that you guys need to go over, which was super helpful, sure. And we were kind of following along with the training, trying to figure out how to do it. But we had never started a business before. And suddenly it was just on my plate to try and figure out what do I need to be giving the marketing team to do every single day that pushes us forward. And at first it wasn't easy, it wasn't, it's not easy now, but it wasn't, at first there was a lot of misses. I would be let's work on this today. And that would do nothing for us. That was counterproductive almost.
Right.
But then other times I'd be able to be okay, let's do this, and it would actually push us forward a little bit. And I started figuring out these things pushed us forward, so let's do those more often.
Right.
But yeah, just going from being I don't have a care about what's happening tomorrow. I can just go home, rest, wake up the next morning, go into work. Someone will tell me what to do, to I need to think what the team needs to be doing tomorrow. I need to be thinking what the team needs to be doing next week, all that stuff.
Right. It's like building a sandcastle, but you have to lay out the muscle movements to pick the bucket up and then put that bucket and fill it with sand.
Yeah, that's a really good... Yeah. Right. Literally having to be I need to know that this bicep needs to curl at this point to turn the arm to muscles,
Yeah.
I don't... I took anatomy. I forgot it.
It's all right. So going along with that, is there any new things that you're still getting used to?
Absolutely. Day-to-day organization, figuring out software to use to how to organize. We use Trello every day, but figuring out how I need to go about efficiently using that software and how I efficiently organize everybody. Because I back whenever we first started, I would just tell you guys each day. We'd come in and you'd be like, what are we working on today? And I'd be like, we're doing this. And then it would just be word of mouth. And then I think we started the Post-it board where we had tasks on the Post-it board and you guys would put erasers on the index cards to indicate what you were doing. And then we would go from that to Trello and using that to try and organize there. And then, that fell to the wayside sometimes because I'm also the marketing officer here. I'm not just organizing. I'm also trying to do the marketing. And so, it's difficult to figure out how to organize still. Like that's the problem I have.
Are you still getting used to the office setting that we're in now? Or were you in an office setting beforehand?
I was kind of in an office setting beforehand.
Is
so
it like
that's
half and half.
Yeah, that was actually kind of what prepared me the most for being here was being in that like office-ish position and like working with people.
Right.
And so I worked directly with a lot of people who were also under managers. And so I learned I think what helped me the most in that position of that office setting was learning what they didn't like about our managers. Like them telling me, man, I wish our manager did this. I wish our manager did that. And me just thinking, man, that could be solved with communication. All they would have to do is talk.
Yeah.
Like we literally had this, I'm not going to call anybody out, but we had someone that worked that would come in and would just like complain every day about what they had to be working on.
Right.
And everybody else would complain about that person not doing the work that they needed to be doing.
Right.
But there was literally two steps that needed to happen. I thought of it numerous times while working there was, one, that person needed to tell the manager that they didn't know what they were doing or they weren't comfortable doing what they were doing.
Right.
Two, the people that weren't comfortable with that person needed to tell that person or a manager that they weren't comfortable. Like that was all that needed to happen. And it was months of people just like, it was like high school drama. It was crazy.
I see what you're saying. So what are some of the things that we're doing and how have you adapted to doing them? Such as like with the Zen stuff, starting up an entirely new business.
Within a business.
Right. How have you adapted to doing that? Like, what are some things that you are, I'd say, going out of your way to do to better do the things we have to do?
Research. Genuinely. And this is, and this is for anybody listening, if you are in a position where you are thrown into something that you don't know what you're doing yet, we have the internet. Like there's a thing called Z Library that you can go on. You can get any book on there. It's sometimes hard to find where the information is because I had to reach out to sources. Like I had to talk to a guy named Alex Woolley, who we've worked with. He's a great marketer in and of himself, but he showed us a lot of different books and stuff to go look at and read. And being able to talk with people like that, other marketers, I hear that too. There's something in here with us. There's just a raccoon like under the table or something.
Is that the co-host?
Yeah, the co-host is just in the rafters. But being able to talk with other marketers and ask them, like using them as a source of information to find other sources of information, super helpful. Like read as much as you can if you're getting into something new.
Along with that, what are the early influences and inspirations you've had for working here?
What do you mean by that? Like books or
so going and coming into an office setting, coming to be a manager, doing office business things. Is there anything that has kind of influenced you to do certain things a certain way?
I mean, personal experiences, definitely.
I was thinking more of like the American Psycho, like business card thing.
The American Psycho business card thing is insane, and I've taught myself not to do that scene.
Right.
But like, I don't know if there's like, I'm sure subconsciously there's some stuff that I draw on, like from movies and books and stuff like that. I mean, I'll be honest right now. I'm a huge nerd, and so like, Lord of the Rings might be an inspiration for me, and like, watching Dungeons and Dragons podcasts like Critical Role, and like, I think having that experience, this is weird. Like I know this is almost a tangent off of this, but like having experience as a dungeon master and going into like controlling that's almost a managerial position by itself.
Practically a managerial position.
Yeah, because you are over a party. And so since that was something I was very passionate about beforehand, and watching other great DMs, dungeon masters, do their thing, I kind of learned how to talk to people, to subtly influence without like being negative, I guess, and like making sure every outcome's positive. Also, just I have a mantra that I kind of follow, which is weird to say that I have a mantra, but I do, which is like the first day I started working here, I wrote it down in my notebook, and I still have it in the filing cabinet back in there. And it is that no matter what, I will strive to be a good person. Even it, like, I don't want to. I watched Wolf of Wall Street and I watched American Psycho, and I saw the sleazy businessmen out there. And I know that there are people out there that become that, and they're like, that's the way to success. But you can go and be successful while also respecting everybody with you. And so that's why I've told you all this in multiple meetings, is like, I view you guys more as my equals, less than I view you as people on my team, like under me. And going through that lens of just trying to be like, treat them as well as you expect to be treated. That's kind of, that sounds cheesy, but it's true. Like, it's literally, I think of that every time I'm giving you guys something to do, because I'm like, if you guys enjoy doing it, you're going to do it effectively.
Alrighty. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple questions that are more away from just you and more everyone in the company as a whole. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to start with this so that we can talk about everyone.
Okay.
Star searching for the right hires. I wanted to talk about the hiring process that we had to go through to get to the point that we're at now.
To get Mallory and Destiny.
Right.
Yeah. We have 2 new hires. They're not really new. They're relatively new compared to how long we've been here. Right. And so our newest hires, Mallory and Destiny, have been a huge asset to the team. I mean, immensely helpful, because they are like both hard workers in their own right. Our social media accounts wouldn't exist, basically.
I hadn't posted on social media, I think, for at least a year and a half. And we're posting like every day here.
Yeah, and like we had like Mike telling us that we needed to post out more, and we knew we did, but we were like trying to get everything else done and trying to get all of our ducks in a row. And then like we were like, and also we just didn't have the passion for it as much as we should have.
Right.
And like we went like 4 weeks, I think, without posting on LBM, and we hired on Mallory, and she just took it by the reins. And now we have an active Facebook, we have an active Instagram. I have an active business profile that's managed by her. Mike has an active business profile that's managed by her. We have a Zend now. We have Wags. I mean, we have tons of social media accounts, all ran by Mallory by herself, and she schedules everything out. And then you have Destiny, and I thought I was a good copywriter before we ever hired her on. And then I was like, man, I'm writing good copy for these ads. And then we had that
someone
test.
Who writes scripts.
Yeah, I was like, she's into horror movies, and so like she writes horror movies, and like that's a weird. It's weird that those connect, but they absolutely do, because she's able to write dialogue. She's able to write compelling dialogue.
Able to write an emotion.
Evocative. It's super emotional. It's super evocative. And so she's able to write copy that is just amazing. And she had some ways to go, because she didn't even call it like copywriting really, because she kind of knew what it was, but it was more like she was just like, she knew how to write ads. But now she's done her own research, and speaking of like me doing my own research, I think she does almost more as much or more research than I do, because she will just like on the daily, if I tell her to do something, she'll go and research the shit out of it. I don't know if I can say shit on the podcast.
I'll allow it.
Okay. She'll research the shit out of it to go and find whatever she can about that subject and then put it into just beautiful, immaculate copy.
Right.
She's even still getting better. Like,
right. So even pertaining to star searching, what was the interview process like for you?
Right. Because I completely dodged the question, didn't I? I did not.
I didn't ask the question.
Oh, okay.
I thought like star searching and hiring in general.
Yeah, because I talked about how great of employees they are, but I didn't even talk about the hiring process. Yeah, what we did was, we started off on Indeed and we posted it out there. We had a few other lines where we put it out on social media and stuff like that, but we found like 100 plus candidates, like I think almost 200 plus candidates through Indeed. and we had to filter through all of them.
Every single one.
And then we had the weirdest hiring process, and I'm sure that's what you're wanting me to get to, is like we went and we not only had a phone interview with them, so we started off with a phone interview because we were like, COVID, don't want to do in person, and we had narrowed it down at that point to like 20 people.
Right.
So we had phone interviews with 20 people, and off of the phone interviews, the ones that did well, that we felt passionate, I think that was the main thing we were looking for, were people that actually seemed like they were very interested in the position and very passionate about it, as well as, you know, just looking at credentials that they had. We narrowed those down to a few people. I think we had 10. We had 11 people that went into the actual physical hiring process. But that was where it got weird, because we had the phone interview. We were like, all right, we're going to do physical interviews. And then Mike came up with the idea of, he was like, I want to see what these people are like before we ever get them on. And so he was like, what I want you to do is I want you to ask all of these people to write some fake ads and send them in to us. And off of that, we'll look at the ones who wrote some fake ads, it was fake ads and fake posts, because we wanted to see both of those. Those were the main things we were hiring for, because we needed a copywriter, because I'm a good copywriter. I'm not a great copywriter.
Right.
And so everybody sent theirs in. We were looking through them. Mallory and Destiny were our two favorites, even before we moved on to the next steps, which I'll get to. Like, they did really well. I think there was one girl who, no offense to Mallory and Destiny, there was one girl who I think understood the directions we gave more and caught it. That's right. There was one girl, I think her name was Caitlin. I hope, Caitlin, if you're listening to this, I'm not going to say last name to dox her or anything, but like, Caitlin applied, and she was the only person that picked up on the thing I put in there that was like, if people, because I made the example, and it was like the price for whatever this service was this much per month, and if they bought a year's worth, then it was this much. And she did the math and figured out that I was doing that intentionally to show that it was a month for free. Like, there was a free month if they bought the whole year. And so I was trying to get them to put that into the ad copy, to be like, buy now and you'll buy the annual plan and you'll get a month free or something like that, you know, as a sort of hook. Mm-hmm. She was the only one that caught that. So I think I liked hers the best. And she was one of the people that moved on to the next step, which was even weirder, where we had people send in literal videos
of how much they wanted to work here.
Yeah. And we were like, take a little video about.
Big ups to Destiny on that one for the amount of production quality.
Of course, she does horror movies, and so everybody else is doing selfie videos, and you get Destiny's, and it's like it's like movie quality footage of her, like in a like prop, like her scenery behind her. She's sitting at a desk that you could tell she like arranged
staging.
Yeah, it was like, we saw that and we were like, oh, that's great. Like, that we need that. We need her. And so we picked out of, like, we had narrowed it down to the physical interview of, we got like 8 people in at the physical interview.
Right.
And actually, I'm skipping a step. We did the physical interview before we did the videos. Because we did the physical interview before we did the videos, because we brought them all in, we had their interviews, and we were still down to like 8 people.
Right.
And that was whenever we were like, everybody send in your videos. And that was why we hired on Destiny and Mallory, was because we liked their videos the most. Destiny had high production value. Also, we just liked everything else about Destiny's whole process. So Destiny was one of the people we were probably for sure hiring. And then Mallory had the best resume. Mallory, like, out of all of our candidates, had the best resume in terms of just like how it was laid out and everything like that.
Very pretty resume.
It was a pretty resume. Her copywriting and everything was great, and her video, just like, I think at that point it was more. Before we ever received the videos, I think even before we received the text, we were pretty set in stone about Destiny and Mallory. But I wanted to see if anybody else could knock that out of the park, and like, you know, the people that did well in some areas failed pretty miserably in others. Like, I'm not going to name names, but there was one person that did like
in particular
really, really well on like the ad copy part. And then we got her into the interview, and it was mostly females, by the way. That's why I'm saying her a lot, because we had one guy at the very end of it all. But we got to the point where we were going to bring her in for the interview and stuff like that. and she just didn't show up. And so whenever you don't show up for a physical interview,
you don't get the job.
You don't get to move forward. So we were like, okay, because I'm pretty sure she was one of the ones that we were like really liked her. But then yeah. And so, but we had to move past. But I mean, we had a bunch of really great candidates that showed up for that, which we're looking for new candidates now with our intern position. But that's a bit different. So
right. So now that we do have Mallory and Destiny in its entirety, what would you say our workplace culture is like? And do you enjoy the workplace culture that we have currently?
God, yeah. I mean,
it's pretty great.
It's great. We have a pretty good workplace culture. I mean, it is the most relaxed.
It's not even that it's.
I wouldn't say it's relaxed as much as it's just.
We're just open.
Yeah, literally the most open workplace culture I've ever had, and that was something that we preached way early on. Of like, we wanted everybody to be open on the team, and we told that whenever Mallory and Destiny first got hired on, they were a bit more quiet because they were new hires, but you did an immaculate job of talking with them and just like actually opening them up, like cracking the oyster. And yeah, we just have it's just fun. Like every day I look forward to coming into work every day because I'm like, I get to go hang out with people. And so, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a really, I keep wanting to say open, but like, I think it's mainly that not only is everybody open, but everybody works how they need to work.
Right. Everyone pulls their weight.
Everybody pulls their weight, and everybody knows whenever someone else is slacking a little bit. And then since it's open, meeting. We have a team meeting, and we'll be like, "Hey, step it up," and it happens.
And
like there's not many times that I've really wanted to be like, I've never been aggravated at anybody on the team. Like I wouldn't say I've never been mad at anyone. There's been times I've been aggravated at someone on the team because I've been upset that they didn't do one thing how they wanted it to do, but it was just a miscommunication 90% of the time. Right.
So I want to move to the image and design of the business, the way it looks. I really like the modernness and the kind of like, it's very modern and classic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you mean like the logo and the branding?
Yeah. Just everything about logo, branding, just the feel of the business in itself.
I thought you meant the feel of like the building. I thought you were like, I like the way this building is an old car dealership. And I was like, me too, honestly.
It's very nice. Very open.
Very open. And we're all in an old warehouse. No, I'm excited for the new office space that we're going to get into. But honestly, it does its job now. But in terms of like the actual branding and logo and everything about LBM,
I feel like it's definitely kind of like I feel like it was there all along, and we've kind of like pieced together exactly how it should go forward.
Right, because Mike, before we ever even thought of it, like Mike came in and was like, "Hey, I want to do consulting," was what it first was, and he was like, and I wanted to call it Legacy Business Mastery. And we were like, we'll come up with a business card for this. He had a business card for it. And we were like, we'll come up with a different name because that's a mouthful. And then we just stuck with it because we were like, that's it. We are LBM because we got to a point where we were trying to come up with a new name while also trying to get new clients. And people were asking who we were. So we had to tell them we're LBM. We're Legacy Business Mastery.
And also we didn't want to make it like way too like cutesy either.
Yeah.
In a sense, we didn't want it to be like,
Yeah, we had like Wham.
Magic Mikes.
Yeah. Oh, God. We wouldn't call it Magic Mikes.
We wouldn't call it Magic Mikes, but...
That would be a great ad. We should do a Magic Mike ad.
We should definitely do a Magic Mike ad.
With just sexy Mike.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
But I like the like poignancy of it. Like whenever I hear about LBM... I mean, like, I don't hear about it. I tell people about it. But, like, whenever I see the LBM logo and I understand... I can tell by looking at the logo that they're a professional company, that we are professional. Because it's that, like, sleek, it gets your attention, and it's poignant. I mean, I think, obviously, there are, like, improvements that could always be made in the future. But as it stands, I think LBM as a brand has a pretty good foot in the door for professionalism and for business and everything like that. That's a really weird answer. I don't know how to. I'm trying to think
of what you're saying.
Yeah, I know you do, but there's people listening to this that are like, "What is he talking about?" Like,
there's people listening. What?
Where are we? Man, I'm trying to think. Like, it's black and it's gold and I like it. Like that's
it's pretty.
It's pretty.
So also talking about like images and media. The different types of media that we do and the different types of social media that we do, like the posts and such. What do you think about like our current posting?
I've talked about it a little bit earlier about how I think Mallory's doing a fantastic job, but yeah, she's blowing it out of the water. I mean, she talks with us really openly now about, you know, what she's kind of planning and coming up with.
I get excited whenever she's like explaining like the different types of things because I'm a very like visual like color person, and that's some good stuff right there.
It is. She's her coming up with like a theme for the week, and her coming up with where she'd be like, oh, what are we doing for What's Up Wednesday? Like she's asked me that. She's like, What's Up Wednesday? And like, what are we doing for that? And I have to like think about something that is, and it honestly, it kind of helps me because I'm like, man, what is something that I want people to know about on our different social medias? And then all I have to do is tell her a short topic, and she's able to go in there and make a fantastic looking graphic, a great caption, all this information that she's putting out there to inform everybody of whatever subject it is. I think the social media as it stands right now, I would be comfortable having it going the same direction that it is just for years to come. Like there's not much I would improve on it. I mean, there's always room for improvement no matter what we're in, but I love it.
Speaking of social media, is there anything that you've learned from the social media stuff that we're doing that you've been able to apply in other places?
See, I think this applies more to you than it does to me because you've like ever since
SparkPost and image like editing software has fallen into my hands, I have become a very powerful person in my own eyes.
In your own social, it's your social media. It definitely is taken off with the use of these tools. But I'm not like, in terms of my own social media and stuff like that, like I don't do a lot of social media before this. Like I didn't do a lot of social media before this, and I don't do a lot of social media still now. I should. But, you know, I have Mallory running my social media for me now, which helps. Yeah. But, you know, it's not something that I've kind of applied. I would say I haven't applied it in a social media standpoint, but I've applied the lessons I've learned in image creation, in branding, everything like that we used initially for social media. SparkPost, Canva, all that different software, using that for our ads creative, and also using that for like sales funnels, using that for all the different media that we create for the business, as well as whenever I'm doing my own media at home. Like whenever I'm writing, I write literature, and sometimes I will create something on like SparkPost or Canva that goes along with whatever I wrote. And I use it in that sense, but I never put it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel. So I'd like, since we're talking about SparkPost and all this stuff, I want to like compare and contrast and kind of shoot around the different programs that we use and which programs that we like, which programs that we don't like.
Okay.
Like ClickFunnels, you know, CRMs.
Ooh, okay, we'll have controversial opinions. We'll agree, but we'll have controversial opinions.
Right.
Yeah. So go ahead, shoot.
So Go High Level. I love Go High Level.
I love Go High Level. Go High Level is amazing.
Other than Complete CRM, which is like the high end blue collar, like,
and like I think you can say like Salesforce, HubSpot, but even those don't have funnel creation on them. You know, like I love Go High Level. It definitely is like a all around like
place for anything.
Right. If you want a membership site, you go there. If you want to be doing SMS blasts, you go there. You want to be doing email retargeting, email marketing, you go to MailChimp, but then you can also go there too. You can also go to ActiveCampaign, which we might go to in the future, but we use MailChimp a lot more now. But the controversial opinion we have is, Go High Level is better than ClickFunnels. I think that is very true. But Russell Brunson will scalp us if he hears us say that. But it just is. Go High Level is.
It's definitely a close race between the two for me,
right?
Because we used ClickFunnels for 4 months at the start, I believe.
Yeah.
Before we actually started looking for CRMs, we used ClickFunnels.
Before we ever even learned about Go High Level.
Yeah, and ClickFunnels is not. It's not like it's a bad thing.
No, it's a great software,
and it works for the purpose of making funnels.
Right.
But for the all-around supportiveness. Mm-hmm. Go High Level definitely has more features because it's just everything,
and it's still growing.
Right.
ClickFunnels doesn't have as doesn't have money. ClickFunnels has money. ClickFunnels doesn't have as many innovations as Go High Level has. We're not affiliates. We're not promoting anything here.
We just
really like Go High Level. If you want, Go High Level. If you want to sponsor this podcast, let us know because we for sure will talk about your everything more because Go High Level is just you're able to actually go in there. You're able to pay less. You're able to onboard clients more better on there. You're able to actually go in and understand things more often. I think that the actual funnel builder has a lot more leniency than ClickFunnels does in terms of it's not as user-friendly. I will say that. There's a learning curve to Go High Level. But once you learn Go High Level, you can do more with it than you can with ClickFunnels.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's an immaculate software, honestly.
Speaking of immaculate.
Oh.
I'd like to talk about workplace attire. Has your workplace attire changed at all? Going from working at Marathon, I almost called it Metro again, Marathon Petroleum to here?
Yes. Yeah. At Marathon Petroleum, we were required to wear things. I was required to wear PPE, which is protective equipment.
Right.
I can't remember what the other P stands for. But where I was there, I was required to wear blue jeans at all times. So, you could wear khakis, but it was a bad idea because you're working with crude oil, and you would get crude oil on your khakis. And
you don't want crude oil.
You don't want crude oil on your khakis. So I had a pair of work jeans, and I had work boots. They issued you work boots, which are steel toe boots with rubber soles, and they are heavy. And you have to wear those everywhere. They're comfortable. Honestly, I wear them on hiking trips and stuff like that because once they gave them to us, we had them just forever. And then I would always wear just a dirty old t-shirt. Not it wouldn't. I do my laundry, but I would wear graphic tees and stuff like that because I would just wear it. I had a RoboCop tee that I wore all the time, and I love RoboCop, but I was okay with getting some crude oil on RoboCop's face.
Did you own as many suits beforehand?
Oh yeah, I still owned. Back in college, I Suit Friday was a thing that stopped whenever I went to Marathon for a while, but now it's back because I love wearing suits.
Back, and it has never been better.
It has never been better. I'm currently wearing a suit with a bow tie that I tied myself. That I was very proud of doing because I normally wear ties. I know.
Such a big boy.
You don't even know why I'm wearing a bow tie because I haven't talked about it today. But Jessie, my significant other, told me, she was like, I've always liked it whenever you wore bow ties more than whenever you wore ties. And I was like, you never told me this. And I've been dating her for 4 years, and I've worn a suit almost every Friday, and I've never worn a bow tie on any of those days.
And just now
she's like, wear bow ties. And so I was like, okay, so now I have to buy bow ties and figure out how to make bow ties look good.
I like the bow tie.
I think it could look a bit better.
I definitely feel like regular ties are more you can definitely fit more on it, have more of
I like them.
The Star Wars kind of themed ones where you can have
You know
all
what?
of that stuff on there.
Yeah, you know what tie I'm going to wear next week that I haven't worn here yet? I have a Garfield tie.
You have a Garfield tie.
I have a Garfield tie that I haven't worn here yet.
Does it mention lasagna on the tie?
No, it's black with multicolored Garfields all along it, just like in different positions. I don't know why I've never worn it here, honestly.
I don't know why you haven't.
Yeah, so I'll be wearing that next week. But yeah.
I'm excited.
That's one of the things I love about working here is that I can wear stuff like this and just be like, I feel like this is more me.
You can really just come in and be like, you like this?
You
guys?
like this? No, I like wearing like nicer sweaters and like I don't know. I've always liked fashion, and so I like dressing up a bit to come into work rather than just like coming in blue jeans and a shirt. And I think it's also like it's something to do each morning that I since I enjoy it, it gets me up in the morning to be like
something you can make your own. And
yes,
really give a start to your day.
It's a routine that it's like it's that first thing that you do every day, which is like this is something for everybody is try and do something every day that you can accomplish each morning. Like, even if it's just like each morning you wake up and you do 10 push-ups, or each morning you
wake up and go upstairs or wherever your machine to make coffee is.
Exactly.
Go and make some coffee or go and make some tea. Do
something routine every morning that you can accomplish. Sometimes it helps to write it down and be like, here's my to-do list, and every single day you might have that first thing on your to-do list be pick out an outfit and dress nicely. Like, I pick my outfit out the day before, and so I wake up each morning and it's like making sure that I get up in time to be able to put on my clothes, I do my hair each morning with just like some simple stuff, and being able to mark that off my checklist helps my day. Like the days that I just rush and put something on and come in, I do worse those days than I do other days.
Yeah, that's how it is for me too. I don't really have like a morning routine thing that I do.
Right.
But that makes absolute total sense.
Right. Yeah, it's just
it definitely does help. Like I feel like I'm also one of the people that kind of needs to make a to-do list because it will definitely help.
Mm-hmm.
Like as much as of a pain and much as it seems to like be out of your way, you need to be used to going out of your way to not just improve yourself to the view of other people, but improve the way that you see yourself too. Like if you're not motivated, you're not going to want to do anything. You're not going to feel like the progress that you do even make in the day is progress at all.
Right. Exactly. That is a great way of looking at it. It's all about mindset. Genuinely. Mindset was something that I like kind of scoffed at before ever coming to this job. Was like I definitely like never thought about how I should plan, like how I should be feeling each day.
Right.
And like looking at things positively. But coming in, it's like literally 90% of the battle is just making sure you have a positive mindset and you're not as stressed out. And like there was a time working here that I put myself in a bubble because I was so stressed about trying to get everything working. And then we had a team meeting where you guys were always open, and we always go around, we say positives and negatives for each person. And we're not required to say negatives, but we usually say positives. But negatives are always welcome. You don't. It is a time that we always say never to feel upset that someone else talks about you in a negative manner. It's not like we're like insulting. It's more constructive. And you guys are like, hey, you put yourself in a bubble and like we can notice. You're like, I had no idea that I like whenever I would get stressed out, I was very outward about it, and it cut you guys off from being able to talk to me because you felt like I was just super stressed out and focused. And I was, but it wasn't something that I needed to outwardly push as much as like focus on trying to be like, I'm stressed about this. I need to get this done. But whenever people talk to me, I want to be friendly because being friendly and having that positive mindset helps me get over that stress.
Right.
Just even like being able to be like talking with you guys and making jokes and getting stuff done pushes me through that stress that I'm having.
Right.
And it's just, yeah, mindset is a huge thing.
I think I've also had a large mindset kind of switch because I went from working at a ice cream place.
Yep.
And it wasn't the best experience.
Right.
It was not great for my mental health. I was not a good person. Well, I mean, it's not like I was like
You were a good
it's not like
person.
I
it was
like,
just a
going
bad
house
place.
by house and
Yeah.
like
Killing people or something like that. Yeah, no.
I wasn't committing crimes, but I was just like irritable and just very anxious and very just not willing to kind of put myself in a position to want to be friendly. But
Right.
coming here and doing these team meetings where we talk about like the mindset that everyone's going through and how we think the person's perceiving and how we perceive what they perceive, I've definitely chilled out as a person. I'm not as irritable as I used to be.
Yeah.
For example, whenever we first started, we were shooting video ads with Mike, and there was a time where there was a shot, which in my mind, I did not think the shot looked good.
I remember this. I forgot about this.
But instead of like, allowing it to happen and seeing what we could do with it, I wasn't open-minded to it, and I just got super irritated about that.
Yeah, I remember that. I forgot about that. I remember that happening, and you left for the day, and Mike came up to me and was like, "What did I do?" And I was like, "I don't know."
It's not that he did anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that like I was just used to working at that ice cream place.
Right. You were used to working with people that wouldn't work with you, and so. I completely remember that time, and we had the team meetings. Going back to team meetings, I mean, we had a team meeting where we talked about it, and we were like, "Hey, I think you have a bit of a negative outlook some days, and you let that affect how you're at work." And immediately you started working on changing it, and you became just tens of times better worker because you suddenly you were a good worker before. I'm not saying in terms of your attitude in the workplace.
I'll have a conversation with you about this.
Yeah, exactly. After the audio's off, you're just going to beat me up. No, you were a good worker, but it was the attitude you came into the workplace some days was we were like, we know that something outside of work made you upset, or you're just like on a knife's edge of being upset. And then suddenly you went from that to just being a person that is extremely reasonable to like any situation and a lot less irritable. Like very, very rarely will you get irritated, and usually it's for good reason.
Yeah.
Because it's not just you that's irritated, it's like the whole team will get irritated at something that is outside of our control.
Right. I think team meetings are a very big thing. If anybody's going to take something from this, I think if you're not already talking to your team, like
do it.
Not like, I mean, you can do one-on-one, but I feel like talking as a group can solve more problems quickly than just, talking to just one person about it.
It solves problems quicker, and also it's about you want to show everybody that you need to be comfortable around everybody else. If you're sitting people down one-on-one and having conversations with them, sure, that'll work sometimes, but that also singles people out and they feel like they are being targeted or cornered. And you want it to be more that you can openly talk about whatever negative or positive aspects there are and be open about it. And if anybody, here's my advice, because this might happen, is if you have an employee that reacts negatively to being given constructive criticism, quell that immediately. Stop that. Like, you need to talk with that. That is whenever you sit that employee down off to the side and you're like, hey, we're just being constructive here. That wasn't meant to be mean. It wasn't meant to be negative. That was literally just meant to make the workplace better for everybody here, including you. Because it's something that if you can work on it and we can work on it together and we'll help you with it, then everybody here will feel a lot better, including yourself. The atmosphere just increases.
Right.
Yeah, it is. Team meetings are something that I suggest everybody do. We had a little dry spell. We went without team meetings for a while because of the holidays, and I was getting antsy. I didn't like it. I'd rather have team meetings every week.
Right.
And then it just helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps because you can unload things and not have to keep them bared into only your mind.
Yep.
You can spread your problems to 5 other people.
It's literally like a little stress group. It's like a little stress group for work-related stuff. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on the podcast today.
No problem.
And I'd like to thank everybody at home for listening.
Yeah.
We should have podcasts up almost every week.
I'm hoping.
Every other week, if not.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just thank you guys for listening very much, and have a great day. Okay, so now the recording's still going. Where would I go to see this recording?
Okay. So let me go over here.
That was good, by the way. We hit exactly 45 seconds.
45 minutes. Seconds. It was just... The entire thing was just like white noise because it was so fast.
Also, you're lucky I didn't do the last thing on you because I didn't know how to fit it in. I was going to ask you if you like poems, and then once you started talking, I was going to interrupt you and say that's all the time we have.
Fuck you. Oh, that's all the time we have. Okay, so what I did was...
I haven't ended the recording yet because that's scary.
No, you can end the recording. Hold on. Oh, it's over there. Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead and...